if you ask people, no one says that they want misinformation. So maybe there's something that we should do to basically try to address this.
Mark Zuckerberg is one of the worst people in this entire country. The amount of damage that he's done over the past 8 years, and then he sits up there on Joe Rogan yesterday with his stupid t-shirt and his stupid chain, and he's like, oh, my bad. Other people were making me do it. I didn't want to do it. Oh, my bad. This guy is terrible. I'm going to break down the Joe Rogan interview for you and show you some of the most important information over the past 8 years that Mark Zuckerberg has banned you from seeing.
But when it went from, 2 weeks to flatten the curve to, and in the beginning it was like, okay, there aren't enough masks. Masks aren't that important. To then it's like, oh no, you have to wear a mask. And, everything was shifting around. It just became very difficult to kind of follow. And
here's a video from the spring of 2020 at the beginning of COVID that got censored off the internet of Fauci saying that masks don't work. We shouldn't be wearing masks.
People should not be walking around with masks. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is.
Please subscribe and turn on notifications for the Matthews Report. I'm working hard for you here. So Mark Zuckerberg, well aware of what you just heard, just thought it was best for you if the government is the only voice you hear.
So at the beginning, it kind of seemed like, okay, we should give a little bit of deference to the government and the health authorities on how we should play this.
So at the end of 2020, when all these people had supposedly died from COVID, Tony Robbins put out a viral video citing the Johns Hopkins annual death count study showing that the death count in 2020 was actually the same as 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016. He showed how they were counting all these other illnesses as COVID. They were counting all these other causes of death as COVID. The flu magically disappeared. He cited everything, put it out in a viral video, and it was banned from social media.
Just go read Johns Hopkins' report. They took it down after one day, but 2 weeks ago they came out here in America. They took it down, but if you go on the Wayback Machine, you can go back on your computer and go back in time on the web. So people have already published it again and again. And what it shows is the same number of people have died this year, 2020, has died in 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, and 2015. 2.8 million people. It's within 10 to 15,000 people every year. The same number of old people died in 2020. The only difference is when they looked by disease. Heart disease, for the first time in 30 years, has come down. Cancer has come down. But COVID has gone up in the exact proportions. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Same number of people died. By the way, in case you haven't noticed, the flu has disappeared. It's flatlined. What are the symptoms of the flu? And by the way, flu kills people, and especially kills older people.
If you don't believe me or Tony Robbins or Johns Hopkins that they were counting everything as COVID in 2020, here's a video from the man who invented the PCR test that they were using to test for COVID. His name is Kerry Mullis. He won a Nobel Peace Prize from it. Here's a video that was banned from social media where he talks about the PCR test and how anyone at any time can come up positive for anything.
The PCR, if you do it well, you can find almost anything in anybody. It starts making you believe in the sort of Buddhist notion that everything is contained in everything else, right? I mean, because if you can amplify one single molecule up to something that you can really measure, which PCR can do, then there's just very few molecules that you don't have at least one single one of them in your body, okay?
Mark Zuckerberg loved that the COVID vaccine was being forced down your throat, and him and the Biden administration were going to make sure that you loved it too.
Their goal of trying to get everyone to get vaccinated was actually, I think, a good goal, right? It's like
It was a good goal if it worked,
Yeah.
if it was real, like if it was a sterilizing vaccine, if it really did prevent people from getting COVID, if it really did prevent people from infecting others or transmitting it. But it didn't. Well, so it wasn't a good deal because it wasn't based on real data.
Yeah, but also even if it were, right? It's like I think that
there has been so many problems and so many issues from the COVID vaccine that I would need a whole nother video to break it all down for you. Please let me know in the comments if you think there's been anything good at all from the COVID vaccine. And if I get some comments, I'll make another video about it.
Okay, there's no way that this guy could have gotten elected except for misinformation. People can't actually believe this stuff, right? It has to be that there's this kind of like massive misinformation out there. Some of it started with the Russia collusion stuff. but it kind of morphed into different things over time.
The Trump-Russia collusion hoax that took over the news in this country for 2 years, and Mark Zuckerberg censored correct information off of the internet. I'll give it to you in less than 30 seconds. In 2016, Hillary Clinton paid for opposition research on Donald Trump. She paid Christopher Steele, a British intelligence officer of Fusion GPS, to come up with dirt on Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton's campaign paid a law firm in D.C. called Perkins Coie. Perkins Coie funneled the money to the British intelligence officer, Christopher Steele, to come up with dirt on Trump, and he put together a completely fake document, a dossier, where he alleged things like Trump went to Moscow and had a bunch of hookers pee on him. That's the type of fake information we were dealing with here. And the FBI took that dossier and used it as grounds to get a FISA warrant to spy on Trump and his campaign, spy on Trump Tower, and they used it also to open up the Trump-Russia, Robert Mueller, Russia collusion hoax. It was completely fake and fraudulent the entire time, and the people in the media who were reporting on it every day knew it was fake and fraudulent, and you would have known that they knew it was fraudulent if Mark Zuckerberg didn't censor things like the undercover reporter catching Van Jones of CNN saying that the whole thing was a nothing burger in the middle of them covering it all day, every day.
What do you think is going to happen this week? I mean, with the whole Russia thing.
The Russia thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really? You don't think that...
Mark Zuckerberg and so many other people who have gotten so many things wrong and caused so much damage over the past 8 years are now all of a sudden seeing the light because Trump's back in office. We can never trust these people again. Thank you for watching the entire Matthews Report. Please subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll see you again soon.